another one, you guys. If you were new to the channel, my name is Andrew with Younger Toyota in Hagerstown, Maryland. For more information on our inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. And so today we're in this one because the Highlander is known for incredible reliability. You get 3 rows of space in this thing as well, and there's actually some big changes for the 2026 model year. So ultimately in this video, we will be testing out and going over everything about this one. So having said that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so as you can imagine, there are several different trim levels for the 2026 Highlander. But first I wanted to mention the LE trim level is now gone for 2026. So because of that, pricing is going to be bumped a little bit. So XLE trim level is going to start at $45,270. Got the XSE going for $47,340. Limited, which is the one we are in today, going for $49,725. And lastly, the Platinum starting at $52,925. But regardless of the trim level that you go with, the power plant on the Highlander is going to be the same. Powering the beast is a 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. This puts out 265 horsepower at 6,000 RPM, 310 pound-feet of torque coming in at 1,700 RPM. Power is going to be sent to all 4 wheels because all-wheel drive is newly standard for the 2026 Highlander. Just wanted to mention that as well. Power sent to the ground through an 8-speed automatic, 0 to 60 time approximately 7.2 seconds. Top speed, if you're interested, 113 miles per hour, with MPG numbers coming in at 21 in the city, 28 on the highway, taking regular unleaded fuel. But so then before we do any kind of fun acceleration test or anything like that in the Highlander, I did want to mention to you guys the drive modes. And so it's all located just behind the shifter. There's a circular dial and there's also a toggle switch as well. So the toggle switch is going to change up the on-road drive modes, and that's going to give you eco, normal, and sport. And then you got some off-road drive modes as well, and that's going to include mud and sand and rock and dirt, and that's going to be the circular dial. You just turn it to the left or to the right, but ultimately adjusting things like the shift points, the throttle response, and the steering sensitivity. But now having got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway, and let's see how quickly we can get our new 2026 Toyota Highlander here up to speed. All right, found our straightaway here, guys, in 3, 2, 1, here we go. Delay. It's okay. There was a little bit of a delay there at the very beginning. That's my beef I always have with turbocharged 4-cylinders, though, is that there almost always is that turbo lag at the very get up and go there, unless it comes with a mild hybrid system. Toyota, maybe you could think about adding a little mild hybrid system to the Highlander. I know there is a Highlander hybrid, don't get me wrong, and that is amazing. Honestly, I've driven that one. That's an amazing vehicle. So I suppose this is right where it should be. It's just something that ultimately you would probably get used to. It's just a little bit of delay at the very get up and go. That's what the V6 didn't have back when it had that. I think in 2022, I think it's 2023 is when it went with the turbocharged 4-cylinder, this particular engine. So it's been in this thing for a little while now, but for me personally, I think I still prefer the V6. Although this engine does have plenty of power, you're certainly not gonna have any issues emerging onto the highway or anything like that. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. So up front, you will find 13.3-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 13.3-inch solid rear discs. As far as that 60 or 0 stopping distance goes, that comes in at 132 feet. As far as braking feel goes, kind of feels like it. Like the 132 feet, it's not the best number, quite honestly. Typically we want to look for like mid 120s or lower 120s. I've seen SUVs as good as like 113 feet, let's say for the Kia Telluride, for example. So I guess it depends on what you're looking for. It's more of a luxury-like braking feel. I guess I'll put it that way. It's just not the best 60 to 0 number, if I'm being honest. 132 feet, it's not the best. It's not the worst I've ever tested, but just know that. That's all I'm saying. But anyways, then touching on suspension and handling. Up front, you're gonna get an independent McPherson strut front suspension. In the back, trailing wishbone type rear suspension, front stabilizer bar as well. And then if you were to go with the XSE trim level, you also get a sport tune suspension if you were interested in that. But overall, as far as ride quality goes, that was definitely perfectly fine. 100% on point there. Definitely absorbing the road imperfections perfectly fine. Not that these roads are bad. These are some pretty darn good roads, quite honestly, but I like the ride quality so far. As far as steering feel goes, it's a little bit on the looser side as expected in an SUV, especially a Toyota SUV. They always do that, but wouldn't have minded a bit firmer of a steering feel, but it gets the job done. As far as cabin noise goes, as we're driving over a bridge, It's honestly been perfectly fine. Don't mind the bridge. It's been plenty serene for me, so I certainly don't have any issues there. Then taking a look at rear visibility, looking out my rear view mirror here, I actually can see perfectly fine out the back, so definitely no issues there either. The other thing with forward visibility, at least, rain sensing windshield wipers is going to come on the platinum trim level along with a head-up display as well. So it's going to project your speed limit, safety features up onto your windshield, so better helping you keep your eyes on the road. Again, that's just for the platinum trim level. But that pretty much rounds out the performance segment of this review, guys. Let's now go find a cool spot like next to the woods or something, and let's like totally go ahead and check out the exterior of the Highlander and stuff. All right, you guys, here she is, the new 2026 Toyota Highlander, finished in midnight black metallic, which, by the way, is an amazing color on any Toyota that they put this on, because if you get up close to it, when the sun hits it, there's so much like flake, I guess you could call it, a bunch of different colors within the black. It looks absolutely amazing. But as always, let's go ahead and start with where the Highlander is made. Taking a look at the VIN, first character is the number 5, indicating that the Toyota Highlander is built and assembled here in the US. But starting up front, you're going to find a black painted front grille coming standard. You're going to get some chrome surrounds to that front grille if you were to go with the limited or platinum trim levels. A little bit of added silver on the lower portion of the front bumper with the platinum then as well. To the sides though, LED projector style front headlights with daytime running lights coming standard. LED fog lights coming standard though as well. And then if you were to go with the limited or the platinum trim levels, they're going to be high output LED fog lights if you wanted a little added illumination there. The other cool thing is with the platinum, you get an adaptive front lighting system, so when you're going around a bend at night, the headlights are going to swivel based on your steering angle, better help illuminating what is around that bend, so you're less likely to hit a deer or Sasquatch or an alien or whatever the case. And then you're going to find, of course, a more aggressive front fascia for the XSE trim level. That's kind of the sportier trim level of the Highlander bunch there. But anyways, let's now go ahead and make our way to the side of this one. Roof rails do come standard. They're either going to be finished in a silver or a gloss black. Rear privacy glass also coming standard. Power adjustable side mirrors with integrated turret signals coming standard. However, for the limited and platinum trims, they're going to be power folding with the reverse gear tilt down feature, and you're actually going to get some puddle lights coming out of them with the Highlander logo for those two trims as well. Then take a look down at the wheel setup. 18-inch machine finished alloys for the XLE, and then 20-inch alloys for all other trim levels varying in design. But let's now go ahead and swing around to the back here. Rear spoiler with an integrated brake light, rear window wiper as well, LED tail lights coming standard back there. Then just below it all, there is a single exhaust outlet. However, with the XSE trim level, you do get dual chrome tips, but that is not what we have with us here today. So either way, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next here. As always, here is that exhaust clip. Right, so now since we are around to the back of the Highlander here, when it comes to opening that rear tailgate, it is actually a hands-free power tailgate for all trim levels across the board. That's pretty remarkable. You usually don't get that coming standard, but once opened up, cargo capacity behind that third row comes in at 16 cubic feet. Of course, if that is not enough, the third row does fold down. That's going to bump that up to 48.4 cubic feet. Then with all rows folded, 84.3 cubic feet. So as far as the cargo space goes, for the limited and platinum, you are going to get a cargo cover. However, there are some tie-down anchors back there, and then if you were to lift up underneath of that cargo floor, you will find some in-floor storage with the tools to change your spare tire. And then you're probably wondering, well, where's the spare tire then? It's actually located up underneath the Highlander next to the exhaust, in case you were curious. So you do get a spare tire, so that's pretty cool. But then making your way up to the third row legroom, that comes in at a very unimpressive 28 inches. For reference, I've been even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in the third row there. There is rear ventilation for all 3 rows, but just to give you guys a little bit of a reference, my old Ford Mustang GT came in at 29 inches for the rear legroom. So 28 inches, it's almost unusable. A very small child might be able to get back there, but it's not a lot of space. I'll just put it that way. But then making our way up to the second row legroom, that comes in at 38.7 inches. Again, still an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in the second row there. Second row window sunshades, the side window sunshades, that actually comes standard on all trim levels across the board. That's a feature that usually does not come standard for all trim levels. It's like an upper trim level feature. So kind of cool the Highlander gets them for all trim levels. Captain's chairs or bench seating is available. We got the bench seating with us here today, which means there's a rear center armrest with cup holders, which is kind of cool. I like that. There is rear ventilation, of course, like I was saying. There's some USB charging ports. And then if you wanted a heated second row, go with the Platinum trim level then. But then making your way up to the front seats, soft tech seating for the XLE and XSE trim levels, full leather seating though for the Limited and Platinum trims, power adjustable front seats, passenger seats included in that for all trim levels across the board, heated front seats for all trim levels across the board as well, and then ventilated front seats for the Limited and Platinum. Overall, as far as seat comfort goes, perfectly fine. Toyota and Lexus always do a wonderful job with their seat comfort, and it's definitely the case with the Highlander. Absolutely no issues there. But then take a look at the steering wheel. It is tilt and telescoping. It is leather wrapped. It is heated for the Limited and Platinum trim levels. 10-2 grips kind of on the smaller side of things, but it got the job done. Then make your way to the startup. Let me start by showing you guys the key here. You got your Highlander lettering found on the one side. When you flip it over, lock, unlock, the Toyota logo, and of course the button to pop the rear liftgate there. But it is all keyless entry with a push button start. So all I'm going to do here is simply put my foot on the brake and press that engine start button located kind of by the driver's right knee there. And so once started up, when it comes to the gauge cluster, 7-inch digital screen is going to come standard on that XLE trim level. However, for all other trim levels, you're going to find a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster. And it's okay. It's not bad. When you change to drive mode, it does adjust the look slightly of that gauge cluster. For example, if I were to put it in sport, it gives me some red hues. If I were to put it in eco, it's going to be kind of green hues, and then normal is going to be blue. But other than that, the gauge cluster doesn't really change all that much. I do wish there was a little more customization with it, but it still looks good nonetheless. I'm not saying it looks bad. It looks good. But tachometer is all the way to your left, speedometer is on your right. There's a digital speedometer front and center. You have your outside temperature, how many miles you'll have left until you hit empty, into the bottom right hand corner there. So overall, it does give you everything that you need. So once again, perfectly fine for me. But now let's go ahead and make our way to overall interior quality. A power moonroof actually comes standard on all trim levels but the Platinum, because the Platinum gives you a panoramic glass roof. So it goes back a little bit further basically. But overhead sunglass holder with the school bus style mirror for all trim levels across the board, so you can spy on the rear passengers there. Auto dimming rear view mirror with home link controls, again for all trim levels across the board. That is one thing, I'm just gonna stop for 1 second. The Highlander does a really good job at giving standard features across all the trim levels. So I'm almost tempted to say the XLE trim level might be the sweet spot for this thing, just because there's a lot of standard stuff that you typically don't find standard. But anyways, like I said, the home link controls and all that. Ambient interior lighting for the Limited and Platinum trim levels. Metal door sills for the Limited. I thought those are pretty cool looking, but you're gonna get then illuminated metal door sills for the Platinum. Wireless phone charger for all trim levels yet again. Tri-zone climate control, also all trim levels across the board. So driver, passenger, and rear passengers can all set their individual temperatures there. But the really cool thing, there's a lot of storage within this. So right on the doors, of course, but just above the passenger side glove box, got some storage there. The wireless phone charger is located just underneath of these center air vents there. I liked how that was kind of separate from everything. I thought that was a cool design element, because that gives you more space just in front of the shifter here to put another cell phone, maybe if the passenger wanted to charge their phone there. To the right of the shifter, you do have dual cup holders. Everything surrounding the cup holders looks like it's finished in kind of this nice gloss wood trim. And that feels like Lexus vibes right there, so I thought that was pretty cool. And then within the center armrest, there's actually a ridiculous amount of space, like so much space within that center armrest. So that was pretty nice to find as well. So overall, I really love this wood trim look on the doors. I don't know if it's real wood trim, but it looks dang good. And then you have these heavy duty silver door handles as well. I liked that too. So overall, they actually did a pretty darn good job in the interior quality. I got no issues with it. Then taking a look at the infotainment screen, what you guys are looking at is actually a 12.3-inch color touchscreen display. That's going to come with the Limited and the Platinum trim levels. Otherwise, the XLE and XSE trims are going to give you an 8-inch color touchscreen display. But either way, you get Bluetooth and audio streaming. Either way, you still get wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, so that's pretty cool. You can check out your driving statistics up there as well if you wanted to, along with your radio information. So when it comes to the sound systems, there are 2 of them. You're going to find 6 speakers for the XLE and XSE trims, and then an 11-speaker JBL sound system for the Limited and Platinum trim levels. So I do believe you guys know what we have to do next here. Let's go ahead and turn on the radio. Let's see what we got playing today, and let's test out the clarity of our JBL sound system we have with us here today. So if you wanna go that way. Interesting. That was actually a really good sound system. I gotta be honest. there's a ton of bass with that, and it wasn't like an overwhelming bass to where it was rattling anything, but that was really good. Plenty of clarity there. Like, well done, Toyota. Well done, JBL. Whoever was responsible for that. That's a really good sound system for the Highlander, no doubt. But last thing I wanted to mention to you guys on that infotainment screen is when you do put the Highlander in reverse, you will find a rear view camera coming standard across the board. Pretty darn high definition actually as well, so I like that. But that's going to let you know who or what is behind you, and as always, that leads us into safety. And so, starting with the best part, the Highlander is an IIHS top safety pick, so wonderful start right there. Front side curtain airbags do come standard. You get a driver's knee airbag up front along with the passenger seat cushion airbag then as well. In the back, you got latch, aka lower anchors that tethers to children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, but also coming standard, Toyota Safety Sense 2.5 Plus. That gives you a pre-collision system with pedestrian detection, lane departure alert with steering assist, lane tracing assist, road sign assist, dynamic radar cruise control, and a blind spot monitoring system with rear cross traffic alert as well. Then if you were to go with the limited or platinum, you're also going to get front and rear parking sensors, so the car is going to beep at you if you get too close to an object so you don't end up hitting anything. So overall, when it comes to my final thoughts, very comfy interior. I like it. I love the wood trim too on the side doors and just surrounding the shifter and everything. Very comfortable seats. So I like the interior of this thing. Lots of standard features as well. Like I was just telling you guys, you get a hands-free power tailgate, all trim levels, rear window sunshades, wireless connectivity, lots of standard stuff. And that's a really good thing. That's about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow me on social media stuff at the bottom of the screen there if you wanted to see what's coming next on the channel. Before it gets to YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button. I do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and I will see you guys all in the next video.